welcome to this Ask Anything session. And we're super excited to hear all about how playing games can help us learn a language.
Thank you
But
for
first of
having me,
all,
Lisa.
yeah. Well, first of all, could you introduce yourself to the people who've come along and the people who will be watching this recording?
Sure. Hello, my name is Vickie Kelty. I am from Nebraska in the United States, and I currently live in Spain with my two cats and my husband. And what else? Obviously, I'm an English teacher. And although I wore stripes today in honor of Lisa, I typically wear Friends t-shirts because it's my favorite TV show. And I should mention, although I don't have a deck here with me, which is a faux pas on my part, Uno is my favorite card game.
You see, that is what I was going to do. While we were waiting for everybody to come in, I was going to get people to put in the chat box their favorite game, but that all went crazy when when people couldn't get in. But never mind. We can ask people. We can ask about people's favorite games later. Yeah, when we come back to.
There is always time to find out people's favorite games.
There's always time. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. That's fantastic, Vicky. Well, what I'd like to know is, what are the different kinds of games that we can play to help us learn a language?
So there, okay, the short answer is that you can play any game at all to learn a language. So as long as it's, well, I was going to say as long as it's in the language you're learning, but even if it's not, you can use translation. So that would be the just really general answer. But you can go deeper and you can take, I call them like general games, but it's really just like any game that already exists. So looky here, I just happen to have some games with me. The coin kidding. So like this is Balderdash. And well, this is technically beyond Balderdash. It has a board game with it, and the questions are more than just asking for definitions of a word. But anyways, the point is that you can take a game like that that already exists and use it to communicate more in English with whoever you're playing it with, because the game already exists in English. So whatever's on the cards that are included with it are going to be in English. And then whatever conversation that you choose to have in English, whatever words you use, are going to be you getting to use English more. And it doesn't matter if it's a game like Clue that has minimal amounts of English on like the cards and on the game board, there's still interacting that can be done in English. The same with Uno that I mentioned was, my favorite game that allows you to do really simple things like just say colors and numbers, or you can be having a conversation with somebody while you're playing the game and just asking about their day as you're like, draw four. How are you today? Skip you, whatever, blah, blah, blah. A two on the, and there are also games that are specifically created to learn a language through. And like one of my language learning friends, I guess, we've connected online, Matthew Boyle and Tiara Youngblood, they both have games that they've created. Language card games is what Matthew's created, and Speak in Spades is what Tiara's created. And they are available in English and are specific to helping you to learn the language. So Tiara's Speak in Spades are card games that have like little prompts on them, little questions. So as you're playing, you get to answer those. And then Matthew's, he has a language, what is it? I can't think of the name, but he has an online game that you can play, that you can also like print off. And then he has a card game version. I really like his language card games that, I mean, I like both of them, but I have in my possession the cards that they're words are failing me right now. If I had his card here, I could show you, but they have like it has a category and then you have to say a word that's in that category. And whether you say it or not means that you get to play the card and then the next person goes. And it's just, yeah, it's fun. And then of course you can also create your own games if you are feeling super creative and you want to do something like that. So
Okay, so two types then. General games, which are the games that we've
three
all got.
types.
Oh, sorry, three types. We've all got games in our houses. These are the general games that we have, which we can just we can play, but play using English as the language to play them. Yeah, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And it reminds me a bit of even just a normal pack of cards. I
Yep.
sent an email out to my list to explain that in the past we used to play card games on a Friday night, but we played them speaking in Galician because
Mm.
my children wanted me to wanted me and their father to speak better Galician. So the idea was that we would just play the card game, but we could only speak in Galician. Is that what you mean by the just general games? Any games that we have, we play in English.
Well, I specifically meant games that already exist in English.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
Okay.
could, if you don't have in your possession and you don't want to purchase any games that already exist in English, like, so this is actually a really good example. This is Trivial Pursuit, the Friends Trivial Pursuit game. And this is the English version of it, but I also purchased so I laughed because my husband was like, Vicky, what? I purchased the Spanish version. And because I didn't think that was sufficient, I also purchased the French version. I did find them on discount. So, sale's a sale. And so now I have this specific game in different languages. What I could have done in order to practice this in Spanish or in French is I could have taken my English cards and tried to translate the question. So, like, if you
Okay.
have a game, obviously, if you have it in another language, you can do whatever you are motivated to do to play it in English, just like Lisa mentioned with the card game. But there are tons of games that do already exist in English. So you also have the opportunity to get those.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. So I get that. And the games specific for language learning are the kinds of games that we play in class, for example, that maybe our teachers help us play in class.
Oh, that is also true. The games I meant, the games I mentioned are actually people like the games I mentioned are actually people who are language learners themselves who have created games for people wanting to learn a language through the idea of games. So like Tiara's cards that she has created, you can go to her website, order those cards, and then you have in your possession at your house, you can play with those cards at any time that you want.
Okay. Yeah. So she's
And so then it's
specific.
not, yeah, it's not you only are using it when you're in the classroom because the teacher doesn't need to be present for it. It's the learning process is created within the game. There's also a company called Kloo, Kloo, and they've created different like board game type things to learn languages through. And they have French, they have English, I think they have Spanish and Italian. And there's go through like with verbs and vocabulary. And so very much something that you could play around conjugations, forming sentences, and yeah.
Okay. So right, we've got different kinds of games. But why should we play games?
Why not? They're fun. They are just they help you relax. Like if I was playing a game right now, instead of like if Lisa, if you'd done this in a game format, I'd be more relaxed and less shaky as I'm answering these questions. We should have done this in a
The
I'm
games are
just
coming. The
kidding.
games are coming. But
Right. Yeah. I'll
it's
chill out
important.
then.
Yeah,
But
chill
no,
out.
they really do help you to just take the focus off of, oh, did I say that word correctly? Oh, what do I need to say next? Did I conjugate that? Was it the past? Was I supposed to use the past? Like none of that comes into your mind during these games because what you're focusing on is the game, winning the game. If there's a timer, saying what you need to say within that amount of time. And when you have that kind of pressure that's a more, let's say, fun pressure, then you just get to use the language. And it's just a really fun moment to have with the language that's not as intense as sometimes conversations can be. And with games, if we take, uh, let's take the Balderdash one. So with Balderdash, you have a word that they've given you, and you have to come up with the definition for the word. And basically, you're just inventing a definition. So you're getting to be creative and you're getting to think, what could this possibly mean? If this was anything in the world, what could it be? I get to invent anything that I want. There's no wrong answer, which is really nice because sometimes when you're having a conversation with somebody, it feels like there's a right and wrong answer, and that can be stressful. And to get to do something where there isn't a wrong answer, everything is right, everything's correct, is just a really nice, relaxing moment to have with the language that you're learning. And then when you go into conversations that are like, I think of when I go to the immigration office in Spain or when I go to my hairdresser, I can just have conversations with them that it's a completely different feeling to be at the immigration office appointment or at the bank and to be at the hairdresser. I'm a bit more relaxed with my hairdresser. But the point is that both of those situations, I personally feel like I go into them with like less stress because I have this practice with just getting to enjoy hanging out with the language. And so then when I have those pressure moments, I'm like, okay, just think of it as this is a taboo moment where I don't remember this exact word I have to say for the question that I have for my hairdresser, but I'm going to use everything else that I can think of. Like, I imagine it, Vickie, you have 60 seconds on the clock. What can you explain to the hairdresser? Because she likes things to go really fast. What can you say to her in 60 seconds so that she knows that you don't want her to cut up to here? You only want her to cut the very bottom, but you don't remember how to say trim. What could you say? What could you say? And so I can use that experience from playing on my own or with other people to help me in the real world. So that's what I think is great about games.
Yeah, thanks. I think it is really important what you mentioned earlier about it helping us to keep calm. Because I think one of the problems when we have to speak in another language is not that we don't have the language often. You know, the language is there somewhere, but that we can't get it out because when we feel anxious or nervous, we become blocked. And that's when we can't access the language. We can't get out the language, which we do have. You know, we know it, but we just can't get it out. And then if we can calm ourselves down, then it helps us to unlock that language. And I think it's really nice that games can help you to do that. And I'm always telling people that I work with, focus on the message, not the language. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. When you're playing a game, you're focusing on the message that you want to give. Maybe you have to give a definition, or you have to give somebody a clue, or you have to I don't know, I'm thinking of a game, answer a question. And what you're focusing on is doing that, not the language that you're doing it with, which hopefully will mean that the language will come out and be more spontaneous and more natural, because you'll feel relaxed because you're not focusing on the language, you're focusing on what you're doing with it and what you want the result to be. You want somebody to answer your question, or you want to win a point, or whatever the game is. Would you agree, Vicky?
Yeah, exactly. Hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm. So what are some of your favorite games that you use with your students, or that your students play by themselves? Because I think you said we can play by ourselves. Is that right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, I like to share the different things that I use on my own. For example, as I brought up the Friends trivia game, I like to I like to play that. I laugh because I have to pretty much play it by myself because of not knowing other people to play it with, and so that kind of just came up, came upon by on its own. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to let the fact that I don't have anybody to play this game with stop me from getting to use it, because I want to read these questions in French, and I may not be getting the pronunciation 100%, but when I have my classes with my French teacher, she can tweak things that she doesn't understand, but I'm still gonna play on my own at home. And then sometimes with my husband, he's willing to ask me the questions in Spanish. Although he can't give me clues because he doesn't know any friends, but he does try. And when I want to play, like there's so many games. What do you call it? The Yahtzee. I like to play Yahtzee. You can play that on your own. You can do, oh, I really like to do Taboo on my own. And any questions that have cards with them. So like Balderdash is a really fun game. I have a Spanish version of Wheel of Fortune that some people might think is, well, some people might think a lot of these are weird to play on their own, but I don't think any of them are weird to play on their own. I also like to think of it as like preparation before you go and play it out in the wild with others. And I like to, go in prepared for my game in other languages. So I don't mind doing a prep round on my own. Categories is a very popular game within my student world. I happen to have my garage sale version. I got this for like $1 in Nebraska. So,
I do like categories. Can you explain the rules to categories if anybody's not familiar? Because this is a really good one for learning languages, I think.
this is really good for focusing on vocabulary. It's a nice little vocabulary review. See what you got up in the noggin. So categories is basically like scatter the categories. So you have a list of categories. It could be like city, things in your kitchen. There's, I don't know, like 12 categories. And then you roll the dice, which is probably why this was only $1 because it didn't come with a super cool dice that has the alphabet on it. Although I think they remove X, maybe X, Y, and Z. They remove some of the letters that are more challenging to play with. But so you roll the die and you have one letter that comes up, and that's the letter that you have to start all of your words with. So if the letter was R, what would be something that you have in your kitchen that starts with the letter R? And what was the other thing I said? City. What would be the name of a city that starts with the letter R? And so then you just go writing, filling in all of the little categories with just one word. You just have to think of one. It doesn't sound challenging, but it is.
So it's one word for each category, beginning with the same
Mhm.
letter. So
Yeah,
the letter R.
all
Yeah.
of them with R. Hmm.
I think in
And I'm
Spain,
trying to think right now. I was like, what is something with R that you find in your kitchen?
tutti
And I
frutti,
couldn't
yeah,
think.
Fernanda. I was just saying in Spain, I think this game we play a lot in the classroom, and it's called Tutti
Mm,
Frutti. I also know it as Stop That Bus as well. You can just play it on paper, so you can invent your own categories, and then
yeah.
just think of a random letter
Oh
of the
yeah, that's what.
alphabet. And
Yeah.
this is a game that you can play by yourself, I suppose, as well, if
Oh,
you want to
for
practice
sure.
vocabulary. So you can
Yeah.
challenge yourself to recall vocabulary, which obviously is something that we need to be doing regularly to help it stick and remember it. So the more we recall vocabulary, the more easy it will be to get it out of our heads when we need it. So I think this is a really good one to play. Oh yeah. So Tutti Frutti, Stop That Bus, or categories. No.
Yeah.
Taboo.
My
I
students
really.
call it chocolate.
I forgot.
I don't know why.
Everybody has their own
Sounds
name.
delicious, but
Yeah. Taboo is really good as well, I think, because taboo is very challenging, isn't it? With because you can't say certain words, can you?
yeah,
So
and I also like to do the reverse depending on how comfortable somebody feels with it. Even myself, I like to do like with Spanish, I tend to do the regular version, and then with French, I do the reverse. And so the reverse is that I use all of the words to explain the top word, basically because my French, I don't have as much vocabulary with French. So it actually, oh, we have a special guest. It actually would
cat.
be, this is Gunther, one of the two cats. So it would actually be helpful to expand my vocabulary with that list of words on the card.
So basically, we
You know what
have
I mean?
a word at the top of the card, and then we have 3 or 4 words that we can't say to describe that word. So, for example, if the word was cat, maybe the words to describe it would be animal, no, whiskers, and
Meow.
meow. And you can't say those words. But what you're saying is that we can also play it the reverse, where we can use those words to describe if we want to practice, which is really yeah, I like that idea because again, it's something we can do on our own. We don't have to have somebody to play with.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes, depending on ourselves, on our mood, on our personalities, on many factors, the rules of the games can feel constrictive to us. And so I just like everybody to feel when they're playing a game that they get to change those rules like as they want to. Like with Uno, we have Kelty family rules. My last name's Kelty. So we play the Kelty family rules. And we all know, all of the Kelties, we all know what those rules are. So if somebody else ever comes and plays with us, they're like, what? We're like, Kelty family rules. So I think that that's really great that each person has their own, family rules that they want to use. And I yeah, I just never want somebody to be playing a game and feel so frustrated because they are trying to get like a taboo word and the prohibited word, like they say the prohibited word and then they don't want to play anymore because they're like, oh, I can't do this. That's not fun. And the whole idea of doing them is to find the fun in them. So if prohibiting the words isn't fun, then what can you do to make taboo fun for you and have it still be getting to use English?
Okay, great. It seems in the chat box we've got different names for the same game. So it seems that this game categories Tutti Frutti is also called Name Town Animal Thing. Stop that. But there are lots of names for the same game,
Love
I
it.
think. Yeah. Okay. Well, what I love is that actually we can play games on our own, and it can be really beneficial for helping us to recall vocabulary, which helps us to remember it better, and also, I suppose, for practicing making things like grammar automatic. So if we're using structures again and again and again, which often games are repetitive, a lot of them in the nature of them, so we have to use the same structures again and again and again. It would help us to remember those structures. We have a game here at home which is called what would you do? Something like what would you do if? I mean, and this is a really good structure to practice. You remember, what would you do if, what would you do if you found £1 million? You know, and then I can't remember what the game is, but you have to guess what people would do. I think it's to determine how well you know people in your family or your friends. So you have to guess what their answer would
Yeah,
be. But this is a
that really
really
sounds like Scruples in
Ah,
the game that I have.
yeah, I think it is similar to Scruples. But again, it's really good for practicing those structures. What would you do what would you do if you broke a leg? I don't know. Think of anything. But what would you do if Zoom decided not to let anybody into your
Yes, Lisa, what would you do?
Oh, go crazy. I don't think I've recovered actually. But no, but so really good for for lots of things. So I think good for calming us down and helping us to have fun, and to when we're calm and we're relaxed, then our language is flowing much more naturally, hopefully, and we're able to remember everything that we've got in our heads there. Good for recalling, remembering vocabulary, practicing vocabulary, good for practicing grammar structures. Anything else that you want to add?
Yeah, I would just add that the one thing that um might put some people off is like, oh, do I have the level to play certain games? Do I want to get it? Um, in theory, any teacher who has had me in French would say, Vickie, you do not have the level here to play Friends Trivial Pursuit in French. And you know what? I love Friends so much that I did not ask anybody's permission before I went and bought it. I bought the game and I have played the game by myself, asking myself the questions. Sometimes being able to understand enough information in the question to answer it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, go me. Sometimes having to go to a translator or use one of my other cards, like have them next to each other and use that card to help me figure out what some of the words are in order to answer it. But basically, my love for that topic, my interest in both that language of French and the topic of Friends was enough that level didn't matter. So just throw that out there in case there is a particular game or style of game or anything that sounds appealing to you. I say go for it, and I
Just
bet
do
you'll have
it.
a lot of fun
Don't
playing around with
worry.
it.
Don't worry. Well, right, Vicky, I think the time has come to demonstrate the game that we would like everybody to play.
Okay.
What
Are
do
we
you think?
recording this part too?
No, we can record the demonstration because I think it's beneficial for maybe people who are going to who maybe are looking for games to play, and then we're going to stop the recording and we're going to put people into little groups to play this game, which is one of my favorite games. Now, I'm not going to give the name that I have because this is a game I used to play when I was a student. I'm going to call it a different name. What can we call it, Vicky? You know which game I'm
Celebrity?
talking about. Okay, guess the celebrity, for example. Okay, because the name that I have for it is related to my student days. So it's a really simple game. And I've played it a lot in class, and I've played it a lot in my private life with my family and friends. So, what we have to do is think of a famous person who we want to be. Okay, so I've got mine. I know who I am. Can you think of a
I am.
famous person? You know who you are? Yes? Okay. So, we're both a famous person, and we have to guess each other's famous person. Now, we can only ask questions which are yes or no questions. If if we answer yes, then you can continue and ask another question. If we answer no, then it's the next person's turn. And you keep going until you guess the person. When you guess a person, you can think of a different person, and the game continues and continues. So,
We
Vicky,
take notes, or are people just supposed to remember?
no, we have to remember. We're practicing our
I'm
memory
old, Lisa.
skills. Okay, Vicky, right, you can begin. Ask me a question.
Are you from the United States?
No. Okay, now it's my turn because I said no.
I'm
Uh,
losing already, everybody. Okay.
Vicky, are you female?
Yes. Keep going.
Okay. Are you from the United States?
Yes. Guess again.
Okay. Are you a politician?
No. Are you from the UK?
Yes.
Are you male?
No.
Your turn.
Vicky, are you alive?
Yes. Very much so.
Are you a sports person?
No. Eh. Um, are you female?
Yes.
I was just trying to get it. Yes, for sure. I take my wins where I can get them. Are you? I'm going to use some of her questions to help me. Are you a sports person?
No.
Didn't help me.
Are you in the entertainment industry?
Yes.
Are you a singer?
No. Are you in the entertainment industry?
I'm just saying, feel free to guess in the chat box if you think you know who we are. No, I'm not in the entertainment industry.
Oh,
Um, I've forgotten if you're male or female. You're female, yes?
I'm female.
We have to practice our memory. Yes. Okay, right. Do you appear in a series called Friends?
What? Yes.
Are you Rachel?
Yes.
That's it. I win.
No, but you have to say my actress name. Rachel's a
Oh,
character.
sorry. Are you Jennifer Aniston?
Thank you. Yes, I am.
Okay, I'll just tell you, I,
Yay!
I, I was the queen.
You were the queen? Oh man. I wouldn't have got that. That was really hard. Oh,
Okay,
we're not
right.
worthy.
Okay, right, Vicky. We're going to stop recording now because we're going to go off and play some games with the
Okay.
people who are here.